Hi, and welcome to How Humans Heal. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to my friend, Jennifer Joy Jimenez, who is the creator of Transcendance. And we're going to be talking more about that. She is also the visionary founder and director of the Health and Wellbeing Division of the Brave Thinking Institute. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jennifer.
Thank you, Dr. Donnie. It is such a pleasure to be here. I'm super thrilled. Thanks for having me.
Wow. Well, I mean, I know ever since we met each other in the Mindshare community, we started realizing that we both love dance. And then you started telling me about Transcendance. And I just think it's such a brilliant thing that you've created. It's so needed in the world. And so I'm so excited to share it with everyone. Maybe let's just start with you telling everyone more about what is Transcendance.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I agree. I feel like we're dancing soul sisters. And the first thing I just want to share with your listeners is that oftentimes when people hear the word dance, there's this preconceived idea they get in their mind, right? So you're usually, and tell me if I'm wrong, as your listeners are hearing this, you might be bringing to mind different dance forms or techniques that you've seen. So you think of African dance or jazz dance or modern or contemporary. Maybe you've seen shows like So You Think You Can Dance or Dancing with the Stars. So you're obviously an amazing competitive ballroom dancer. My background does go back to professional dance, but let's go back in time. For thousands of years, humans have been dancing. And so, whether your listener consciously thinks that they know how to dance or can dance from a traditional dance perspective, we're all wired to move to music. It's actually one of our most innate healing forms of medicine. It's just in our modern times, music and dance has been put into these boxes in these different genres. But when you travel to these Aboriginal tribes. Like I was just in Africa this last summer, which was a bucket list dream come true. It was a philanthropy slash family trip, and I got to dance with the African tribes. And I actually grew up taking African dance. And what I noticed was that it's in our bones, the drumming, the dancing. When we were back in our tribal times, we would dance to celebrate, we would dance to grieve, we would dance to bring in the rain for the crops. When the warriors would go out to war, they would bring the warriors back with drumming and shaking and dancing to actually digest and assimilate the trauma that the warriors had experienced so that it wouldn't like linger in their bodies and their beings. So transcendence is really my modern way of bringing our ancient healing medicine back to modern times. One of the easiest descriptions I've found so people can kind of begin to wrap their mind around it is imagine the mindfulness of yoga, which is a mind, body, spirit aligned holistic practice. But now we're going to add inspiring music and free form conscious dance, which is really just simply allowing your higher self, the power that's breathing you, to move you from the inside out. And I know you and I both believe that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and that movement and exercise should be so much more than just moving the physiology. We're so much more than that. And so that's what I love about Transcendance, the mind, body, spirit practice. Anybody can do it. So I've had students and clients that are mobility challenged. Maybe they are working with canes or in a wheelchair or even healing from surgery. And the best part is everybody's invited to the dance party. My friends that say they have two left feet and absolutely no rhythm. Some of them, for the first times in their lives, they feel accepted, received, celebrated, and told that they really can move and dance freely, and others that are highly trained. I mean, we're talking professional dancers like you or like me, who, for me, when I began conscious dance and I found it in my 20s, I felt like I had been a caged bird, and I didn't realize I was a caged bird, let out to fly around free for the very first time. There's so much freedom and joy that comes with this movement.
Wow, it's so exciting to me to because as someone who I consider dance as a medicine for me, and to see how you're bringing it making it accessible to people so that you don't have to it's not like you have to go to a standard dance class. I mean, those are amazing and wonderful too, but some people, yeah, are like, "Hey, I don't feel like I'm gonna go learn to salsa or waltz, but here's a way that you can access dance as a medicine, as you said, and get the healing benefits of it." And really what I see you doing is you're recategorizing dance. You're saying, "Hey, dance should really be in the list of healing modalities." And it's not just you who is saying that. There's a lot of research to show that too, right? Maybe you can share some of the amazing research on the healing properties of dance.
Yeah, I would say probably one of the most staggering, impressive studies is the 21-year study they did at the New England Journal of Medicine, where they found that they were studying Alzheimer's and dementia patients, and they were putting them through a myriad of different tests from chess to walking to weightlifting to tennis to all sorts of brain games. And they were also including dance as one of those studies to see if we could increase mental acuity in these patients who were greatly declining in their memory and their mental acuity. And they found after 21 years of doing this study, that's a long time to be in a study. If you just put that on for just a moment, that the mental acuity increased in people who were practicing social dancing by 76%. I think that is
Oh.
staggering. There's no drug on the market right now that can claim those kinds of improvements. So if you think about preventative medicine, if you think about longevity, just a few minutes, that's the other thing. It doesn't have to take hours and hours and hours. What they find is just in that the kind of movement where you're not necessarily even following somebody's fancy footsteps, right? But it's just the creative way of moving the body to music. There's something that happens in the brain where it rewires the neuronal pathways and it fires and wires those neurons. The other thing that they find is that dance activates and releases the happy hormones. I call it, it's one of those dose of dance, right? So dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins.
All the good stuff, yes.
Yeah, I love that the founder of Daybreaker also coined that phrase, and I'm super grateful because it's so true, right? So it's really this opportunity to feel really joyful and to feel really happy without having to pop a pill. So much of our Western medicine, and mind you, I love all medicine that's available. I think there's so many important things that we've discovered as a human species. And so I'm not saying don't lean in to all that's on the table, but also what you often don't hear, like a doctor, except for you or other doctors that are more holistically based, wouldn't know, hey, just why don't you try dancing 5 minutes of every day for the next 7 days as your prescription and see how you feel in getting some sunlight, getting some fresh air. I mean, so many of these things can really do wonders for our health.
Absolutely. And to me, then it is needs to be listed as a way that we can recover from stress and trauma, which is one of my specialties, is helping people to recognize, okay, when we're exposed to stress, whether it's trauma or major stresses or even the day-to-day stresses we're exposed to, it disrupts our nervous system. It disrupts our stress hormones and many other systems in our bodies, and we can choose different activities to help us reset. In fact, in my book, Master Your Stress, Reset Your Health, I list dance as a stress recovery activity. So again, it's right. It's like how many people I'm wondering when you work with people with Transcendance, is that something they report is an improvement in their stress level?
Oh, absolutely. Every time. So I do a class on Zoom twice a month to the world. People Zoom in from all over the world. I actually launched that, to your point, during COVID. It was really able to provide a way for people from all over to access it, which is so helpful, and have kept it ever since. And people will come in with all sorts of symptoms, and oftentimes the kinds of symptoms that would keep them from going to the gym or doing their normal Zumba or fitness or workout with trainer, because a lot of these fitness modalities feel taxing. They feel depleting. You feel more tired or tense or, worked at the end of that, where this kind of a modality is designed to actually be a reboot, almost like if you were to plug in your cell phone and recharge your phone, which is counterintuitive. I think we've all kind of been taught this thinking that, we're expending energy, right? We're burning calories. How many steps did you walk? How many calories did you burn? So there's this depleting mental concept where, for me, there are certain forms of movement that are designed to recharge me, to make me feel even better, to help me feel more alive, more vital, more joyful, my body feel less tight and tense. So yeah, so clients will come in with headaches. The end of class, the headache is gone. They haven't taken any drugs for that. Clients will come in with blocked body parts, literally like pain in their hip or pain in their shoulder or pain in different parts of their body, and just following the 10 stages of Transcendance, which is really a 60-minute full practice. It's almost like, in their words, it's miraculous that their pain is gone. But really, our tension in our minds, our stress in our life does impact. There is a direct mind body connection. They're not breathing, so their blood isn't oxygenated. They're in fight or flight, which tenses the muscles. There's real physiological reasons for this. So they come in, they breathe, right? They come in that we're using guided visualization, which Olympic athletes use to calm the mind, to put their bodies in the zone, to decrease fight or flight, increase parasympathetic nervous system response, where they're in rest and digest, and they're in this flow mode. All of a sudden, your muscles begin to soften and relax, but not in a I'm asleep mode, but like really where you want to be for peak productivity, where I have a lot of clients that might feel stuck in their projects, and they get moving, they get increased in their sense of joy. And all of a sudden now they have a reset on their motivation and they're ready to go tackle the day because they have more energy. So they'll often say it's like having, a full stretching yoga session, a chiropractic adjustment, a life coaching reboot, a full
All in
body
one.
massage, all in one class. It's
Wow.
pretty, and it's fun. I think the other thing is, so much of our life is so serious, and we do so well at adulting. Like we've got a lot of responsibilities. We do a lot of things. And one of the things that I love so much about Transcendence is we sprinkle in fun and play. And as adults, I think we all need a little bit more of that.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing because then you're getting this reduction of all the stress, like you're saying, putting yourself in the anti-stress mode. And at the same time, you're getting exercise. So it counts as exercise too. And as
Yeah.
you mentioned, so much of the time, if we just are going to the gym and we think we have to push harder and do more, and yet at a certain point, we're going to hit a limit, and then we're more likely to get injured, and then we have to recover. And it's like trying to find that balance point, how to get exercise without injuring ourselves or doing too much. And
Yeah.
I see that Transcendence offers that. Like it's so you said it's a usually a 60-minute class where you're going through different stages or phases, different songs and different types of dance movement. Maybe tell us a little more so people get a sense of what is it like to be in a Transcendence class? Mm.
Yeah, so you come really just dressed with some comfortable clothing, nothing fancy. You don't have to dress any certain way. So if you think about what you would wear to go to, to stretch on the floor, to go walk your dog, to something you can easily move and stretch in. We begin with a traditional type of a warm up, but the difference is we set an intention. Imagine if you were to go to, in yoga class, they might set an intention, but it's rare that you go to a gym or a fitness class and they say, what's your intention? And not just your physical intention, right? To get stronger or to lean down, but like really a mind, body, soul intention. You can bring all of your life's troubles, because again, it's a movement form of, it's not therapy in the sense that I'm a dance therapist, but it's definitely therapeutic in a sense that whatever is worrying you, and the worries of our mind definitely create tension in our body, right? So you can bring those concerns, those worries, those life issues, and say, my intention is to really just lay that aside and really calm my mind, open my heart, trust that all is well, and release tension in my body. I mean, that's just the simplest intention. Then we begin to do mind body centering. There's a lot of studies now with heart math that really show that the heart is that heart's electromagnetic frequency is 10,000 times more powerful than the electromagnetic frequencies of the brain. So the heart coherence is really just centering into the heart and really connecting with a sense of gratitude, a sense of love, particularly self-love. And I know you probably find this with your patients as well, that not over 90% of women, they're also finding this is a secret issue for men as well, but there's a lot of body shame. There's a lot of body loathing. There's a lot of disconnection from our body. Many people walk around feeling cut off from their bodies. So we're healing that. We're just sending a wave of love and gratitude, recognizing this body temple does so much to keep us alive, to fight off disease, to pump blood through our body. I mean, our lungs are breathing 24/7, our heart is beating 24/7. So the sense of self-love, self appreciation, gratitude, and connection to the body. So just that. I mean, just even a few minutes of that is so therapeutic and healing for people. Then we do some gentle yoga inspired stretching. Again, you don't need to be flexible. You can do this in a chair, but we're rewiring the neuronal pathways to reconnect to the stages that we went through as infants. So when we have developed as infants, there are certain ways we move that actually create really healthy neuronal pathways in the brain. So there's the cross crawl when we begin to get on hands and knees. There's the rolling over. So we do some of those movements every day as it's like almost like a cleansing and a connection to the mind and body that so many people, when they're just doing their linear movements, don't get these movements that we used to get when we were children and we played in the playground. We ran around, we did the monkey bars. There was a lot of right and left brain balancing activity where we don't always get as much of that as adults anymore. So we do that. That's really powerful to keep the brain healthy, to extend our longevity.
We're all exposed to stress. Women, men, and children are experiencing alarming rates of stress and burnout. It's not something that we can completely avoid or escape. But what we don't hear about is how to recover from all this stress that we're exposed to. This is what inspired my research and clinical work over the past 2 decades, where I've been looking to answer that question. What can help us as humans to recover from stress? And through that research and work, what I discovered is that we're not all affected by stress the same way. While we might assume that we all have high stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline, it's simply not the case when it comes down to it and I measure the levels. What I found is that there are 5 stress types. This is how, as humans, we are most likely to be affected by stress in terms of how that stress disrupts our stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. So this is what led me to develop the stress type quiz. And I made this quiz available online. So you can do it right here on my website at drdani.com. And in less than 2 minutes, you can know your stress type, which is how stress is affecting your body and your stress hormones at this point in your life. This is key information to now be able to recover from stress and reverse the effects of stress. Because to the degree that our cortisol and adrenaline is either too high or too low, we are constantly being affected by stress that happened in the past. Once we can re-optimize our cortisol and adrenaline, we have eliminated the effects of stress, and we can now go into the future with a clean slate, with optimal hormone levels and our body functioning as if the stress never happened. So I would love for each and every one of you to know your stress type, so then I can teach you the diet and lifestyle changes you can make as well as the nutrients and herbs that are specific to your stress type so that you can effectively reverse the effects of stress, recover from stress, and prevent future stress from negatively affecting your health. I can't wait for you to do this quiz, find out your stress type, and go on this journey with me to mastering your stress and resetting your health. I'll see you there.
Then we move into the body part dance, the dance of self, where actually, if you think about it, when was the last time you let your head guide and lead your body in how it wants to stretch and move? So often our head is just kind of stuck on our shoulders. And then we tell our head where to look and how to sit until all of a sudden there's all this tension. So when we go to a massage table, we're like, oh, it feels so good. But what if every day or even just a few times a week, you let your own head and your own neck move and circle and sway in ways that naturally all that tension is released. Then we allow the shoulders to dance, the arms and hands, the torso, the hips, so the whole body, each part of the body gets a chance to move and lead the rest of the body in its unwinding. I like to say our issues live in our tissues and you need to feel it to heal it. So there are these stuck energies, whether they're emotions that we haven't fully felt and released, or we take on other people's stuff. So for the listeners, ask yourself this question. Do you ever take on the tension of the world? What's going on in the world right now? Do you ever take on the tension or stress of your children or your spouse or your coworkers? I find especially now men can do this too, but especially women, where we lead with our hearts. So we often are carriers of all the trauma and the tension and the stress. And if you're nodding your head as you're listening, then yeah, so really just through gentle movement and certain types of music and unwinding the body starts to literally heal itself. It knows how to release that tension on its own, if just given a moment to be allowed to move in ways that the body wisdom, right? Not the logic or intellectual part of our brain, but the intuitive inner body wisdom part of our being will begin to shed this stress and tension. Then we do the dance of shift where you shake out your body almost like you're shaking out a dusty rug, or if you're like a wet dog, if you think about just kind of shaking it loose. You can also tap the body, you can wipe the body down, but it's just cleansing, like you're almost like you're taking an energetic shower, right? You're just shaking off all that tension. Then we move into the dance of surrender where we refill the chalice of the body with light, with love, with joy, and then bring to mind really just this feeling of what if spirit, life, God, universe, whatever you call your higher power, could just move you freely and uninhibitedly, even just for 5 minutes. What would that do to you mentally, emotionally, spiritually? How would you feel even more aligned with your higher self? Most importantly, in through your own intuition. Our intuition is our nonlinear intelligence system. It's the part of us that goes outside on a sunny day and it says, take an umbrella. And you're like, but it's not raining. And then 20 minutes later, it starts raining. There's just things that we know. And this practice actually heightens that sense of intuition and that sense of inner guidance so that you feel connected to the reason you're here and really why are you alive in this lifetime? How are you bringing forth your purpose, your passion, your mission, living your dreams? We're working towards really embodying the highest vibrational frequency, or you could call it your mood, right? Into joy, happiness, forgiveness, aliveness, regardless of our life circumstances. I'm a firm believer that we get to choose the mood that we live in, no matter what's going on around us. And with this, I'll just give a personal, vulnerable example. Today, I'm not streaming this from my house. There are fires literally all around my home. I could have easily gone into fight or flight, stress, and canceled this interview. And I know you reached out and you were so sweet. You said, it's okay. We don't need to do the interview. But I said, well, let me make sure, I'm in a hotel, we've evacuated, and I get to choose what I feel today. Is there a part of me that's concerned for my home. Of course, I'm human, and yet I don't need to stay in that heightened fight or flight mode through the tools that I've learned through transformational coaching, mind body centering, and truly the transcendence tools that are encoded in the modality are life tools. I'm literally breathing as I'm in the shower. I'm doing my mind body centering and shaking out the tension when I can feel it tightening up my shoulders and tightening up my gut because I'm watching all of this unfold. So I'm literally taking these transcendence tools off the 60-minute practice and I'm sprinkling them throughout my day as really a lifestyle set of tools that I use literally all the time, whether I'm consciously doing the full practice, which I do, um, but it's also now part of my living practice. You know, after the dance of surrender, we get to do a beautiful partner dance of mirror. What they find is when we mirror each other, there's certain energies that light up in the human. We're wired to want to move together. We're wired, they're called mirror neurons. We're wired to mirror each other, and we have so much fun through the mirroring. Then we do a cool down dance where we begin to really model moving our body in a state of flow. So many people rush through life. So many people feel like they're pushing through life and they're stressed and there's just this tension. And so when we practice moving in flow, then we can move at the pace of grace throughout our life. And that energy bleeds and or floods into everything we do in a positive way. We also connect to an energy healing practice, and then we close out our practice with stillness. So there's quite a lot that we do in a full practice. But I also know that you, and I would love for you to tell everyone a little bit about your experience recently coming through the Transcendance facilitator training, which we have, and what you're thinking you want to do with this inside of your work.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I know. I was just excited to say that, like, I want to tell everyone that this was so brilliant to me and so exciting to me that I decided to do beyond just a single transcendence class. I decided to do a training that Jennifer offers where she's training facilitators, others who can guide transcendence in classes. And this is the thing I was going to say is that, I mean, you mentioned that you offer classes on Zoom a couple times a month, but this is transcendence is also something that people might find in their local community because various people are coming through your facilitator training program and then offering transcendence out to the world, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. All over the world. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have where you've been training people from tell like all different places.
Yeah, so all corners of the US, we have facilitators in Canada, we have facilitators in Norway, in Europe, in Mexico. Um, I'm trying to remember all the different continents now.
That's
Spain, yeah, all
so
over.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's so
Hmm.
exciting because now that people are, this is not like something that you've brought to the world and you're training others to teach it as well. And I feel so honored to have now been trained in everything you just described, how to lead a transcendence class. And I'm in the process now of getting the full certification so that I can offer it more because I can't wait. I can totally see how this as a healing modality, and I want to be able to integrate it into the work that I do with patients and program participants because I see that. I mean, I already teach, for example, in to my patients and program participants, meditation, biofeedback, guided imagery, breath work. We work with all of these things that you just mentioned, and but the dance was missing. And I often saw like from as I mentioned to me, dance is completely my medicine. So I'm helping others and then when I need to take time for myself, I'm going to dance. But it felt like two separate parts of my experience in life. And
Mm.
with this, I'm really excited to say now I can it's a way that I can bring dance to my patients so they can also benefit from this healing modality. And so definitely, for those of you who are patients and program participants and in my audience, please know that you're going to be hearing me talk more and more about transcendence and opportunities. In fact, Jennifer and I are excited to give you all a taste of transcendence together.
Yes, so excited. We're
Yeah.
going to come together. We're going to create. So Dr. Donnie will tell you a little bit more about that and when you can get a part, when we're going to do it. But we're going to come together. We're going to create a beautiful special workshop just for her community where you get to have a taste of this and experience the magic for yourself because it really does feel magical. Like, wait a minute, I came in feeling this way, this way, this way, this way. And now all of a sudden I feel so much calmer, so much more energy. I feel reset. I feel more flexible. I feel less tension. Like, whoa, all of that in just one session. And yes, that is what you can experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
I'll
great.
be sure to put a link down below this interview so that you can all sign up to join us for that taste of transcendence so that you can really see for yourself and experience it for yourself. I mean, one of the most beautiful things I think that you do, Jennifer, is at the beginning of transcendence, you really you create a setting, you create a sacred space. You say, this is a place, this is a no judgment zone. You get to show up and there it's not like someone, even when you're on Zoom or whether you're in an in-person class, there's no someone looking at you seeing if you're doing it right, right? It's like, no, this is a place where you don't have to show up and do it right.
Yes. I think that's probably one of the biggest shifts that and part of one of the biggest fears. I'm so glad you mentioned that people have, particularly if they don't feel like they have experience moving or dancing or rhythm or they've had experiences that left them a bit scarred. Many people, not all people, but a lot of people that I talk to about it, and that's their trepidation is they do feel like there's a right and a wrong way to do it. They do feel like they're going to be told, "Oh, you're not good, you can't move," or they feel left out, and that feels that's really difficult as it just is in general. And so to create, to your point, this no judgment zone where there is literally no right or wrong way because you're not following a set of choreographed steps. It really is this deep connection with yourself, maybe that you've never felt before, opening up this connection to this beautiful power breathing you that is animating your body in wonderful ways, this energy that's lighting up your world. And when you harness and connect to that inner body wisdom, things begin to shift. Like, literally, I've had clients say things they've carried for years, inner blocks or inner trauma or sadness, or things just start. And it's nothing to fear. It actually comes through in a way that's very cleansing and not scary whatsoever, and it just falls away in the most natural way, and all of a sudden they literally feel 10 years younger. They feel 10 pounds or more lighter. They feel more aligned and connected to their intuition around their life's direction and their life's path. They have crystal clarity on decision making. They have more ease in their relationships. They just feel better about themselves. More confidence is probably the number one result that I feel I hear clients talk about: more confidence and more freedom. And I know we all would love a little more confidence and a little more freedom and a lot more just energy to do the things that we want to do in our lives in our day.
Absolutely. And it's interesting too, as you're saying that, I was thinking that when it comes to, because I also research and am training to be a psychedelic assisted therapist. And part of that work and that research is showing that as humans, we can really benefit from going into what's called a non-ordinary state of consciousness, which is what you're describing, where we're in this day-to-day grind, and we're relying on our mind and we're being very logical and we're, racing to the next appointment and racing through our day until we fall into bed and wake up the next day. It's like we get into this just very tight realm, and sometimes we lose
Mhm.
track of the bigger picture of what we're even doing here, as you said, in this human existence. And so being able to have an experience where you can go into a sort of a different state that's safe. This is the thing. It's like we're talking about gentle dance moves. So this is safe, no withdrawal symptoms, no side effects, no, it's like, hey, this is a very safe way for us to access a different part of our sort of our something that we can do as humans. Our nervous system knows how to do it, how to be in that other state of consciousness, but
Yeah.
we tend not to access that. And so I think
Yeah.
dance is an amazing tool to do that. And for especially for someone who's like, hey, I want to be able to change my brain. I want to be able to change my mood. I want to be able to change my health, but I'm afraid to, try this or try this. Dance to me is and transcendence in particular is a very safe option, even if it just starts to open that direction a little bit. And that's why I think the name Transcendence is such a perfect name, because it does help us transcend our experience through dance.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. It is a transcendental experience. You do step into that theta, brain wave state. But like you said, not everybody, and even people who have done psychedelics will often do these kinds of movement modalities that are not drug induced, but feel like it. It's very much like you have this. I've had multiple transcendental experiences, multiple what you might consider like out of body, where you just feel so expansive. You feel one with everything around you. You feel one, you feel a sense of ecstatic joy, ecstatic love, like, and it is these kinds of experience that people talk about that you can also tap into through psychedelics. But particularly what really heightens that for me is retreats. So you go on retreat, which I love that you talk about this mundane kind of this life where we're in this rote routine. So one of the reasons why I do retreats is some of my greatest levels of awakening and getting out of that hamster wheel life and really deciding to do this work for me was on a retreat, and having a out of body transcendental experience through the movement, and then hearing a very specific message from my higher power around my purpose work, around really harnessing this energy and being a guide for others. So I left my corporate job and the high rise and the financial services and the suit I was wearing and the just that life, to really do this work in the world and be able to provide opportunities for others, as I know you do. So I'm so grateful that you're bringing this to your community. You have so many resources. You're such a way shower, for women and people in general, that there are these healing modalities that are natural, like you said, like breath work and, meditation and all that you're offering. And I couldn't be more deeply, deeply honored and privileged to have you join the Transcendance team and to have Transcendance join your work as an offering. It's just such a gift. And I can't wait for your beautiful audience to get to try it out with us. Yeah.
Oh, me too. I can't wait, and I can't. I don't know if it's okay for me to mention that you are working on a book as well. To put
Sure. Yeah.
all of this into a book for people also to be able to learn
Mhm.
about transcendence. So I'll definitely be mentioning when your book comes out. But it's I think it's really amazing and brilliant that you created this transcendence and all that you're doing to bring it to people as a healing modality, because it is very needed. People are, as you've mentioned, the different symptoms, people are struggling with health issues and looking for answers. And so I'm so grateful to you for joining us here today, for creating Transcendence, and for also offering to do the taste of Transcendence with me. So thank you again, everyone, for listening in. We definitely look down in the notes below so that you'll find how to contact Jennifer if you'd like, and find out more about Transcendence, and also to find out about the Taste of Transcendence we'll be doing together. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we go?
No, just that, I would love for everyone to just say yes to themselves, to turn on some music. Certainly, you can come check out what we're doing and how we're providing it. But truly, it's as simple as finding a song, that lights you up. It can be in your car. It can be in your kitchen. It can be in your shower. It doesn't have to be any special place. Just pump that music and get yourself moving. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says or what anybody else thinks. It's really going to sprinkle a lot of joy and vitality into your life. So I would just end with get dancing.
I love that. Yeah, nice. Turn on now as we wrap up here. Turn on the music and give yourself a little bit of dance. And thanks everyone for joining us, and thank you, Jennifer, for being here today. So, everyone,
Thank you, Dr. Bennett.
yay! So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss the next episode of How Humans Heal. I'll see you all soon.
Thanks for listening to How Humans Heal. If you liked this episode, leave a rating and a review. And for more resources, visit drdonnie.com.